Chosen one, pause for a moment. Take one slow breath. Let the noise settle. That tiredness you keep trying to explain may be saying more than you realize. You have rested, slept, and stepped away, but the weight still returns before the day begins. This is not a small feeling. You wake up with pressure already waiting. Your shoulders feel tense. Your thoughts begin running before your feet touch the floor. And while everyone around you sees a capable person, there are mornings when even simple choices feel heavier than they should. You keep moving anyway. You answer the messages. You solve the problems. You become calm for people who arrive in pieces. But after they leave feeling lighter, you often sit alone and wonder why their relief somehow became your exhaustion. Nobody sees that exchange. Nobody asks what it costs you. This has happened for years. People find you when they are confused. They call when fear takes over, when relationships collapse, or when they need someone who will listen without judgment. You rarely ask how they knew to choose you. They simply reach for you, and you make room. You soften your voice. You carry the conversation until they can breathe again. Yet, when your own heart feels crowded, you struggle to name one person who can hold space for you with the same care. That is part of the ache. You understand people quickly, but you are rarely understood. You hear what others avoid saying. You notice the silence between their words. You sense when a smile is covering pain. Sometimes you enter a room and feel the tension before anyone speaks, and your body begins reacting while everyone else pretends that nothing is wrong. You may have called this overthinking. Others may have called you too sensitive. You may have tried to become harder, quieter, or less aware, so life would feel easier. But the more you ignored what you sensed, the more disconnected you became from your own inner voice. There are nights when sleep does not restore you. Your eyes close, but your inner world stays alert. You wake without a clear reason, sometimes in the deepest hours, carrying a feeling that does not match anything happening in your own life. Then morning comes, and you dismiss it as stress. This does not mean every feeling has a spiritual cause. Your body matters. Your health matters. Rest, support, and honest care matter. But there may also be a deeper identity question beneath this pattern, and that question has followed you much longer than you admit. Why do you feel responsible before anyone asks? Why do you notice pain before others see it? Why do people confess what they hide from everyone else? And why does your kindness so often become a burden that follows you home and refuses to leave? The answer is not that you are weak. It is not that you are broken. You were not created to suffer for everyone around you. The deeper truth begins with a gift, but it also includes a boundary that nobody taught you how to recognize or protect. Chosen one, your sensitivity may be connected to discernment. Your awareness may be connected to a calling. Your compassion may reveal a heart trained to notice what others overlook. But a gift without understanding can become a weight, and a weight without boundaries can become an identity. That is why you have felt divided. One part of you wants to help everyone. Another part wants to disappear where nobody can reach you. You love deeply, but you are tired of being the strong one whenever life becomes difficult. Even your kindness has started to feel heavy. You may feel guilty for needing space. When you say no, your chest tightens. When you rest, your mind remembers who might need you. When you choose yourself, an old fear whispers that someone will call you selfish, cold, or changed. So you return before your peace is restored. You answer again. You fix one more problem. You stay longer than your spirit can afford, because somewhere inside you learn that love means carrying what other people refuse to face. That belief has shaped your relationships, your rest, and your sense of worth. But hear this clearly. Compassion is not captivity. Discernment is not emotional absorption. Love does not require you to become the container for every fear, conflict, and wound that enters your presence. You can care without becoming consumed. You can listen without losing yourself. You have spent years proving your heart through sacrifice. You kept peace in rooms that were never peaceful. You protected people from consequences they needed to face. And each time you saved the moment, you delayed a lesson that was trying to reach them while draining strength from yourself. Something inside you is ready to remember. You were not born only to react to other people. You were not given depth, so everyone could pour into you without limit. You were not called to disappear inside the needs of those who refuse to take responsibility for their own healing. Your true identity is larger than the role of rescuer. It is calmer, it is clearer, it carries authority without chasing control. And before this message is complete, you will understand why your spirit has felt overworked, what you have been carrying, and who you really are. You are becoming uncomfortable with old patterns. That discomfort is not failure. It is evidence that your inner life no longer agrees with the version of you that accepts every burden. Something is separating truth from habit, and you can finally feel the difference. The next step is not to become heartless. It is not to shut everyone out. It is to learn the sacred difference between noticing pain and carrying pain, between offering support and becoming responsible for the entire emotional world of another person. Stay present now. The first truth is already clear. You have been carrying more than your own life, but the deepest revelation is still ahead, because you have not only carried emotions belonging to other people, you have also carried an invisible agreement made long ago. That agreement has shaped your relationships. It has shaped your rest. It has shaped the way you respond when someone is disappointed. Until you recognize it, you may keep calling self-abandonment love, even while your spirit quietly asks for release. If these words are naming something you have felt but never explained, write, "I am ready to remember." Let those words mark a decision to listen without fear. You are not promising perfection. You are simply becoming willing to see the truth without running from it. Chosen one, your exhaustion is not your identity. Your sensitivity is not your sentence. Your compassion does not require endless sacrifice. But before you can release the weight, you must understand why you believed it was yours and why putting it down once felt dangerous. That is what comes next. Not a warning meant to frighten you, but a truth meant to free you. You have not only been carrying feelings, you have been carrying a vow, and that vow has been quietly deciding how much pain you allow into your life. Chosen one, the vow did not begin with words. It began with a feeling. You learned that peace depended on noticing danger early. So you watched faces, listened for changes in tone, and became alert before you understood why. Maybe moods changed quickly. Maybe silence meant something was wrong. You became the calm one, while others grew loud, distant, or unpredictable. Reading the room helped you feel safe, and people praised your maturity without asking what it cost you. You were called helpful. You were called wise. You were easy to depend on. But behind those names, an agreement was forming. If everyone around me is okay, then I am safe. If I prevent disappointment, then I will still be loved. That agreement followed you into adulthood. It entered friendships, family bonds, and every place where someone needed comfort or another chance. You kept saying yes, not always because you wanted to, but because saying no felt dangerous. This is where sensitivity became confused with duty. You could sense pain, so you assumed you had to fix it. You saw what others ignored, so you believed you had to carry the responsibility. Your gift was real, but the meaning attached to it became exhausting. Discernment notices. Fear absorbs. Compassion responds. Fear takes control. Love offers support, but fear becomes responsible for the result. You have lived between these forces for years, which is why helping people sometimes leaves you peaceful and sometimes completely empty. Your sensitivity is not the enemy. It may be one sign that you were created to perceive beneath the surface. But perception needs wisdom. Without wisdom, every emotion feels like an assignment. Every crisis feels personal, and every disappointed person feels like your failure. You were never meant to become cold. You were meant to become clear. Clarity helps you know when to speak, when to listen, when to pray, and when to step back without shame. It protects your heart without closing it, and it protects your calling without turning it into a prison. The old vow turned information into responsibility. It told you that noticing pain meant you were chosen to remove it. That is how a gift became attached to guilt. That is how compassion slowly became a command you were afraid to disobey. There is also a practical layer to this struggle. Constant emotional pressure can make focus harder to access. It can bury intuition beneath noise and leave your mind circling the same decisions. Some researchers have explored how structured sound may support calmer and more focused brain states. I want to mention one resource now because I do not want to hide it until the final moments. I never want you wondering whether truth was delayed only to create a sale. This teaching stands on its own, and you deserve to receive it without pressure. The resource is called the Genius Song. It is a short audio track designed around brain entrainment, a method using sound patterns to support brain states linked with focus and alert calm. It does not replace rest, wise choices, prayer, or professional care. The official information is in the description and the pinned comment. If you already feel ready to examine it, you can read the details there. If you need more context, remain here, because the deeper issue is not only how clearly you think. A clear mind without healthy boundaries can still become overworked. Strong intuition without self-trust can still become fear. Even a spiritual gift can feel like punishment when an old agreement says everyone else must be rescued before you are allowed to rest. So return to the real question. What happens when a person can sense what others carry, but has never learned where responsibility ends? They confuse presence with rescue. They mistake exhaustion for faithfulness. They begin calling constant access love. This pattern makes you feel important and invisible at the same time. People value what you give, but they may never know who you are beyond your usefulness. They know your strength and patience. They know you will answer, but they may not know your dreams. This is why rest can feel uncomfortable. Stillness removes the emergency. When nobody needs you, the old identity loses its task, and you face a question avoided for years. Who am I when I am not saving someone? That question separates your true calling from the survival role that grew around it. One came from purpose. The other came from fear. They may look similar from the outside, but one leaves you grounded while the other keeps you chasing, explaining, and repairing. Heaven is not asking you to become less compassionate. It is inviting you to stop using compassion as permission for self-abandonment. Your heart can remain open while your boundaries become strong. The two were never enemies, even when the old vow made them feel that way. The vow often sounds noble. I will never let anyone feel what I felt. I will always be available. I will keep the family together. But a promise formed in fear can become a prison even when it wears the language of love. You are beginning to see the pattern. The exhaustion was not proof that you were failing. It was evidence that your role had expanded beyond what one person could carry. Your spirit was not asking you to care less. It was asking you to carry differently. This is where identity begins to change. You are not an emotional sponge. You are learning discernment. You are not a permanent rescue system. You are becoming a steady presence who knows when a burden is assigned and when it must be released. The difference may feel strange. Some people may call your clarity distance. Others may resist the version of you who no longer gives immediate access. Their reaction does not automatically mean you are wrong. Sometimes resistance reveals who benefited from your missing boundaries. Chosen one, the next layer takes us deeper. People in Scripture carried enormous responsibility, heard what others could not hear, and still reached the limits of human strength. Their stories were not preserved to shame your exhaustion. They reveal something essential. A calling can be real, and the person carrying it can still need rest, support, and shared responsibility. Spiritual strength is not proven by endless depletion. Sometimes obedience begins when you admit the current way of carrying cannot continue. In the next part, we will see why Moses needed the burden shared and why Elijah needed restoration before instruction. We will see why being chosen never meant becoming the only pillar holding everything together. Hold this truth now. You were not given discernment so fear could control you. You were not given compassion so guilt could own you. The vow may have protected you once, but it does not have the authority to define your future. The question is not whether you care. Your care has never been in doubt. The question is whether you are willing to care from truth instead of fear. That choice will determine whether your gift becomes a source of peace or remains a doorway to exhaustion. Stay close. The people we are about to remember carried sacred assignments, but they were never asked to become machines. Their limits did not cancel their calling. Their need for help did not make them less chosen, and neither does yours. Chosen one, the pattern becomes clearer when we look at those who carried sacred responsibility before you. Moses was called to lead people through uncertainty, conflict, fear, and constant complaint. And he carried vision, but he also carried pressure that no single person could sustain forever. Day after day, people brought every problem to him. They expected answers, they expected direction, they expected him to hold the weight of an entire community without breaking. Moses kept standing, but even a strong calling can become distorted when one person tries to carry what must be shared. Then wisdom entered the picture. Moses was told that the burden was too heavy for him alone. That truth did not insult his faith. It protected his assignment. Sharing responsibility did not make him less chosen, and receiving help did not weaken the authority placed on his life. You need to hear that clearly. Support is not a sign that your spirit has failed. Rest is not evidence that you have lost your purpose. Sometimes, the most faithful decision is admitting that the current way of carrying cannot continue. You may have believed that strong people do not need help. You may have thought that asking for support would disappoint those who depend on you. But Moses did not lose his calling when the burden was divided. His calling became more sustainable because wisdom created structure around it. That is one reason your exhaustion matters. It may be revealing that too much has remained on your shoulders for too long. Not every responsibility belongs to you. Not every crisis deserves your immediate energy. Not every person who reaches for you has permission to drain you. A sacred assignment has boundaries. It has timing. It has direction. Fear has no boundaries, no timing, and no end. Fear tells you to answer every call, solve every conflict, and prevent every consequence. Purpose moves differently. Purpose is clear, steady, and obedient. Now consider Elijah. He had witnessed powerful moments. He had stood with courage. He had spoken when silence would have been easier. Yet after intense spiritual pressure, he reached a place of deep exhaustion. His strength did not disappear because his body needed restoration. What came first was not another command. It was rest. It was food. It was quiet. His body was cared for before the next instruction arrived. That order matters because heaven did not shame him for reaching a limit. Restoration came before direction. You have often reversed that order. You demand answers while your mind is overloaded. You ask for clarity while your body is depleted. You force yourself to keep producing, helping, and deciding, then wonder why your inner voice feels distant. Sometimes clarity returns after the noise is reduced. Sometimes discernment becomes sharper after the body is cared for. This does not make your calling less spiritual. It means your whole being matters, and wisdom does not separate the spirit from the vessel carrying it. You are not being asked to stop caring. You are being asked to stop confusing depletion with devotion. You are not being asked to leave people without compassion. You are being asked to stop proving your love through endless self-neglect. There is a difference between a watchman and an emotional sponge. A watchman observes. A watchman discerns. A watchman responds when response is required. An emotional sponge absorbs everything nearby and then carries it long after the moment has ended. A watchman can notice fear without becoming fear. A watchman can enter a tense room without accepting every tension as a personal assignment. A watchman can pray, speak, or step away because wisdom determines the response instead of guilt. An emotional sponge has no filter. Every mood becomes personal. Every silence becomes a problem to solve. Every disappointed face becomes a warning that love may be withdrawn. That pattern feels compassionate, but beneath it often lives an old survival response. You have called this sensitivity. Part of it may truly be sensitivity. Part of it may be discernment. But another part may be hypervigilance learned when you had to notice danger early. Naming that possibility does not reduce your spiritual identity. It gives you language for healing. Your gift does not need fear to function. Your calling does not need anxiety to remain active. Discernment becomes more trustworthy when panic is no longer directing it. This is how you move from absorbing everything to recognizing what truly deserves your attention. Maybe this feels like the answer. Maybe you are thinking, now I understand. I am tired because I am an intercessor. I feel deeply because I was born to carry what others cannot. That conclusion may feel powerful, but it is still incomplete. Many people carry deep callings without living in constant collapse. Many people notice hidden pain without making themselves responsible for every outcome. So the real question remains, what turned your gift into a prison? Stay with me, because the answer is not hidden in your sensitivity alone. It is hidden in a promise you made before you understood the cost. It sounded like kindness. It may even have sounded holy, but it taught you that your worth depended on how much pain you could hold. That promise is why silence makes you anxious. It is why distance feels dangerous. It is why someone else's disappointment can control your entire day. And until that promise is exposed, you may keep calling bondage loyalty. This is the deeper distinction. An intercessor brings a burden into prayer, then releases it. An emotional sponge brings the burden into the body and carries it without an ending. One trusts that God remains present. The other feels that everything depends on personal control. You have been living too often in the second pattern. You sense pain, then your mind starts planning. You imagine outcomes. You search for the right words. You replay conversations. By the time the other person moves on, you are still carrying the atmosphere they left behind. That is not proof that your gift is greater. It is proof that your gift needs boundaries. The strongest discernment is not the ability to feel everything. It is the ability to know what is yours, what is temporary, and what must be released. Share this message with the person who is always strong for others. Send it to the one who listens to every crisis but rarely speaks about their own. They may not need another demand. They may need permission to put down what was never theirs. Chosen one, the next truth will confront an agreement that has directed your life from the shadows. It explains why saying no feels like danger, why rest feels undeserved, and why you keep returning to people who only value your usefulness. You do not need to abandon your gift. You need to separate the gift from the fear attached to it. That separation is where freedom begins. It is where compassion becomes clean, where discernment becomes calm, and where your identity stops depending on constant sacrifice. The difference between a gift and a prison is not how deeply you feel, it is whether you are free to release what you feel after wisdom has shown you what to do. In the next truth, the invisible promise will finally be named. Chosen one, the invisible promise is ready to be named. It was never written on paper, and no one asked you to sign it. But somewhere in your earliest years, you began living as though your safety depended on keeping everyone else stable. The promise sounded like this: if I stay useful, I will be loved. If I prevent conflict, I will be safe. If I carry the pain first, maybe nobody else will fall apart. You did not choose these words with full awareness, but your life began obeying them. That is why the disappointment of another person can feel like danger. Their silence becomes a warning. Their distance becomes a problem to solve. Your heart immediately searches for what you did wrong and how quickly you can repair it. You became skilled at reading emotional weather. You noticed pressure before the storm arrived. You adjusted your voice, changed your needs, and offered comfort before anyone asked. Because this often reduced conflict, the pattern began to feel like wisdom. But survival is not always wisdom. A pattern can protect you in one season and imprison you in another. What once helped you endure uncertainty may now be draining your relationships, your focus, and your ability to hear your own spirit clearly. Here is the first revelation. Not every feeling you notice belongs to you. You may sense tension without owning it. You may recognize grief without becoming responsible for healing it. You may feel weight in a room without accepting it as your assignment. Awareness is not ownership. Compassion is not control. Discernment is not a command to intervene. These truths challenge the agreement that ruled you, because it told you every problem you could see was a problem you had to solve. Sometimes it was love, but sometimes it was fear wearing the clothing of love. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear that people would leave if you stopped being endlessly available, fear that your value would disappear when nobody needed rescuing. This is the hidden agreement. I am valuable when I carry. I am safe when I rescue. I am good when I disappear. That agreement demanded payment through exhaustion, resentment, and the grief of rarely knowing who you were beyond your usefulness. Chosen one, do not shame yourself. A younger version of you formed this agreement while trying to survive what felt too large. It helped you notice danger and preserve connection, but it is no longer qualified to lead your adult life. The enemy does not always need to remove a gift. Sometimes it is enough to corrupt how the gift is used. Discernment without boundaries becomes panic. Compassion without wisdom becomes depletion. Service without identity becomes self-erasure. You were given awareness, but fear turned awareness into obligation. You were given compassion, but fear turned compassion into proof of worth. You were given discernment, but fear taught you to treat every signal like an emergency. Now hear the truth that closes the deepest loop. You are not an emotional sponge. You are a watchman. You are called to notice, discern, respond with wisdom, and release what was never assigned to remain within you. A watchman sees without becoming what is seen. A watchman warns without controlling the outcome. A watchman stays awake without confusing vigilance with panic. Their authority comes from clarity, not from carrying the entire city on their back. You are also an intercessor. But intercession is not endless emotional possession. It is bringing a burden before God, holding it with intention, and then releasing it. You were never asked to become the permanent home of every sorrow you encounter. Your spirit has carried more than you think, because your heart accepted burdens before wisdom confirmed the assignment. You confused access with responsibility. You confused empathy with ownership. You confused being needed with being loved. Now your identity becomes clearer. You are a spiritual intercessor learning boundaries. You are a watchman learning peace. You are a cycle breaker, ending the belief that love must be proven through self-abandonment. The cycle did not begin with you. Perhaps generations before you survived by silence, overwork, and sacrifice. Perhaps one person always held the family together while everyone else avoided responsibility. You inherited the pattern, but you do not have to continue it. A cycle breaker also ends invisible agreements. The agreement that rest must be earned. The agreement that saying no is cruel. The agreement that peace depends on keeping everyone pleased. This freedom may change how some people respond to you. Those who respected your heart will learn your boundaries. Those who only valued your availability may resist them. Their resistance gives you information, but it does not define you. A delayed reply is not betrayal, and the discomfort of another person is not always proof of wrongdoing. This is where your spirit begins to breathe again. You do not need to become hard, you need to become honest. Your sensitivity can remain, your compassion can remain, but guilt must lose its authority, and panic must stop interpreting every signal. Take this truth slowly. You were called to witness the burden, not become the burden. You were called to carry what is assigned, not everything that appears. You were called to love from wholeness, not disappear inside the need of another person. The reason for your exhaustion is no longer mysterious. Your gift was real. Your compassion was real. But the agreement underneath them kept expanding your role until no limit felt acceptable and no sacrifice ever felt enough. What must change is also clear. Ask 3 questions. Is this mine? Is this assigned? Is this ready to be released? These questions create a gate around your spirit, and that gate is not rejection. It is discernment made practical. Ask the first question when a mood enters the room. Ask the second before you intervene. Ask the third after wisdom has shown you what to do. Freedom begins in the pause between what you sense and what you accept. Now you know the why. You tied sensitivity to responsibility. Now you know the what. You must separate awareness from ownership and compassion from control. And now you know the WHO. You are a watchman with boundaries. You are an intercessor with clarity. You are a cycle breaker who refuses to pass self-erasure into the next generation. Your calling is not smaller because your hands are lighter. It is finally becoming sustainable. Do not rush past this moment. The burden had a name. The agreement had a pattern. The identity beneath both has now been revealed. You were never created to hold the entire emotional world together. You were created to stand in truth, respond with wisdom, and release what does not belong in your spirit. This is not abandonment. This is sacred order. The next step is not becoming someone new. It is protecting the clarity that already lives within you. Carry this sentence into the next part. I can care without carrying everything. Let it interrupt the old vow. Let it become the first language of a new agreement built on truth, peace, and a calling that no longer requires your disappearance. Chosen one. Now that the burden has a name, clarity can return. You do not need to become someone else. You need to protect the part of you buried beneath noise, guilt, and constant emotional responsibility. Earlier, I mentioned a practical resource called the Genius Song. I named it before the final moments because trust matters. I did not want the teaching to feel like a doorway that suddenly became a sales message. Still, Some people understand the pattern while their mind stays crowded. They know what must change, yet old noise returns when they try to act. That is where a practical tool may support the work they are already choosing. The Genius Song is a short digital audio track. It uses brain entrainment, which means structured sound patterns are designed to support brain states linked with focus, alert, calm, and mental clarity. It is not a cure, and it does not replace prayer, rest, wise action, or professional care. The process is simple. Sit somewhere safe, wear stereo headphones, listen for about 7 minutes. You do not need a complicated ritual, and you do not need to force your mind into silence. You simply create a quiet space for attention to settle. This matters for a chosen one who has spent years carrying too much. When your attention is always pulled toward other people, inner clarity can feel distant. The tool does not create your identity. It supports the focus needed to hear what was already within you. One woman in the product story was a 43-year-old teacher in Texas. She had spent years helping others grow while feeling that her own mind worked at only part of its strength. After 3 weeks, she described ideas returning more naturally. She also made a decision she had delayed for a long time. Her story does not guarantee the same result for everyone. Some people notice subtle changes, while others need more consistency. Dr. Robert Lake is presented as the neuroscientist behind the audio. The product materials say he spent 34 years studying how brain states influence, focus, and performance. The method centers on gamma activity, a brainwave pattern often connected with learning, insight, and concentrated awareness. Do not treat that as magic. Do not use it while driving. Do not expect one session to solve every problem. Use it as support, not as a substitute for sleep, boundaries, medical care, or practical decisions. You may be thinking, I have tried many things. That hesitation is understandable. Meditation apps may cost around $15 each month. Personal growth courses may cost $100 to $200. One therapy session may cost around $150. A weekend retreat may cost several $100s. The Genius Song is offered as a one-time digital purchase. The regular price is $49. The campaign price listed for viewers is $39, with no monthly subscription or shipping cost. The offer includes 4 bonuses. Genius Child is valued at $19. A classic book is valued at $20. A guided visualization is valued at $29. A 5-habit infographic is valued at $12. Together, the bonuses are listed at $80 in value. The product materials also describe a 90-day money-back guarantee. They state that a buyer may request a refund and still keep the 4 digital bonuses. Read the full terms before deciding. Similar names and imitation audios may appear on other platforms. Some are only ordinary recordings without the same product package. Use only the official path provided in the description and the pinned comment. Do not search for a random copy on Amazon, YouTube, or Spotify. The official path is where the product details, bonuses, and guarantee should be confirmed. Now pause. Take one slow breath. Place your hand over your heart if that feels natural. Let the noise settle. This is not only a question about $39. It is a question about whether you are ready to stop abandoning your own clarity. No tool can make that choice for you. No audio can replace your boundaries, but support can become useful when your decision is rooted in truth. Ask whether this fits your needs, your budget, and the direction you have chosen. If the answer is yes, the official information is in the description. Add the pinned comment, read it slowly, confirm the details, choose from clarity, not pressure. If the answer is no, keep the teaching and practice the truth you already received. Your freedom does not begin with a purchase. It begins with discernment. It begins when you stop treating every emotion as your responsibility. It begins when you understand that love can remain strong while access becomes limited. Now return to the identity that was revealed. You are a watchman with boundaries. You are an intercessor with clarity. You are a cycle breaker who refuses to pass self-erasure into the next generation. Your hands can be lighter without your calling becoming smaller. Say this within yourself: I release what is not mine. I release the fear that says everyone must approve of me. I release the belief that rest makes me selfish. I release the need to rescue people from lessons they are meant to face. I choose peace. I choose wisdom. I choose clean compassion. I can listen without absorbing everything. I can help without becoming responsible for every outcome. I can step away without becoming cruel. I can love people without abandoning myself. Your spirit does not need more weight to prove its strength. Your heart does not need more wounds to prove its purity. You have carried enough. The new agreement begins with truth. I care deeply, but I carry only what is mine to carry. Let that sentence settle. A boundary may feel unfamiliar before it feels peaceful. A quiet mind may feel empty before it feels safe. A lighter life may feel strange when struggle has been your identity for years. But strange does not mean wrong. It may mean freedom is entering where burden once lived. It may mean your spirit is learning that love and sacrifice are not the same. It may mean the old vow is losing its authority. If this message has named your experience, write, I release what is not mine. Let those words become a marker of awareness. Share this with someone who always carries the room, the family, or the crisis, but rarely receives permission to rest. Subscribe if you want to continue learning about discernment, spiritual identity, and healthy boundaries. Chosen one, you now know why the burden felt endless. You were not only carrying emotions, you were carrying an agreement that made your worth depend on sacrifice. That agreement has been exposed, and what is exposed no longer has to control you. You are not becoming less loving, you are becoming more honest. You are not walking away from your calling. You are learning how to carry it without disappearing. You are not closing your heart. You are closing the door to guilt and false responsibility. Take one final breath. Let your shoulders soften. Let your hands rest. You do not need to hold the whole world together to prove that your heart is pure. Your calling remains sacred, even when your hands are finally empty.